Welcome, everyone. This is our Wednesday Wisdom, where we go over tips, tricks, and information on band instrument repair. Today, we have our special guest clinician, Mr. Will Peak of Peak Performance Woodwinds. We do have a hashtag for you today. That is going to be Sax SmackDown. Make sure you put that in the comments below. That's going to give you a chance to win a discounted entry off the fee to get into the SmackDown. Of course, we do have a couple of courses coming up here. Ryan's got his padding course coming up on February the 8th. You could get it for your Valentine.
We could, yes. That is a great Valentine. I will be dressed up as Cupid, but that was completely separate from Valentine's Day.
After that, we've got our Saxophone SmackDown, and that's going to be on February 23 and 24. So make sure that you sign up for that. We also have our schedule for the Sax SmackDown posted in the education section of MusicMedic.com. So you can click on the clinic schedule and you can see a bio of our good friend Will Peak and a little bit about his clinic there, as well as all of the other where is it? There it is. All of the other clinicians, and this is just the second day. So Ryan, you're going to be starting off the first day.
Taking it off the inaugural. It's going to be me lighting the torch with a flaming arrow. Watch out, doves. We're having doves. We're having waffles.
Oh, that's really
waffles. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but we're having waffles, supposedly.
I think it's going to happen.
Okay.
There are several. They're actually bringing a truckload of waffle makers.
Yes. We got a cement truck full of batter. We're having it pumped in.
Bucket of syrup.
Yep. Bucket ladles of syrup.
So you'll have your own waffle, your own syrup. Is it syrup or syrup?
Either one. We'll have both.
Okay. And your own fruit bowl.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, very good. So Ryan, thank you for the food.
The food update.
Food update, very good. And of course, for Ryan's leading off the first day, and then Mr. Will Peak, you are going to be leading off the second day, day 2 of the Sax SmackDown. Will, let me just introduce you to everybody who's watching. Will, of course, is the owner of Peak Performance Woodwinds. He's out of Kansas City, Missouri. He is devoted to providing artisan-level repairs for professional musicians in a multifaceted woodwind repair business. He works on saxophone, bassoon, oboe, and those are your 3 specialties. Clarinet, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you do any flute stuff too, Will?
I do more flute than bassoon. Probably the least bassoon out of all 5. But the big 3 that keep me busy most of the time are sax, clarinet, and oboe.
Very cool. Okay, so Will he also does a bunch of customizations, overhauls, and he is available throughout the Midwest if you are in that region. Will also has his own line of woodwind-centered products that he's going to be bringing here to the Sax SmackDown, so we're very excited about that as well. So Will, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, and I wanted to just get started by just letting you tell us a little bit about how you got started in repair.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I got started kind of early in repair. I got really interested in it my sophomore year of high school, when not long after I got the alto sax that I still play to this day, my Selmer Series 3 Millennium Edition. I got used on eBay, and I brought it to a woodwind repair specialist who works out of her basement named Judy Dietz in Leavenworth, Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point, I was kind of interested in repair a little bit. Like I had gotten to play like some school-owned berries and tenors at that point, and they never worked. And I would put Scotch tape in the right places to make them play better. And seeing how Judy worked in her basement, and just seeing how it's really done really inspired me, and it kind of lit a spark. And from then on, I was pretty much obsessed, and I emailed her and asked if I could come in and help in her shop a little bit. And so it kind of became an every Saturday sort of thing. During the summer, I would come in as many days a week as she would let me. And so by the time I finished high school, I had a pretty decent foundation and a small array of tools and some personal projects to do in my bedroom based workshop. So my business basically grew out of that bedroom workshop and grew into my parents' basement, and then later grew into the house that I now live in. So I've been in the trade now for about 13 years.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Okay, so that is your history as a repair person, but you also have a bit of a playing history. I know that you're a multi-instrumentalist as a woodwind player. Tell me a little bit about the time. I need to check my notes. Sorry, there's a special name. Tell me about when you were in school and what it was like to study and perform with Bobby Watson.
Oh, okay. So, maybe calling me a multi-instrumentalist is a little bit misleading. I'm a very proficient saxophonist and clarinetist, and I play enough oboe and flute to get by. I'm a horrible bassoonist.
I think
But
everyone watching is probably a horrible bassoonist.
Yeah.
I know I am.
Yeah. Oh, me.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that weird thumb key
Well,
with the
a lot
yeah.
of
It's got like 12 or 13. No, this something does one thing, which is let you know it sounds good. Sounds good.
yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of true multi-instrumentalists that I do work for. So it feels like a little bit unfair for me to call myself a woodwind doubler full throttle, you know. But anyway, so yeah, I went to the University of Missouri, Kansas City, which is just like, in my opinion, a world-class place to study music, no matter what you're doing. And was thankful to work with Zach Sheeman and Bobby Watson. I never really took private lessons with Bobby, but I played in his big band for 3 years while I was at school there. So it was a lot of fun to work with him in that capacity. Yep, that's basically it. Working with, I think I got a unique perspective honing my abilities as a musician alongside my abilities as a technician, because I was constantly doing repair work while I was in school there. Splitting my whatever free time I could, muster, I would spend working in my shop at my parents' house. And by the time I finished school at UMKC, I had enough clients at that point to do the work full time. So, working on my own instruments and the instruments of my fellow students and faculty members, sometimes, I think taught me a lot.
So Will, would you say that this is that repair in general, is this something that you just was it something that you knew that you wanted to do as a young person, like as a young kid, or was it something that like you were just kind of like drawn to, and then you kind of fell into it and it kept making more sense because you had a talent for it? Or what do you think about that? Both?
In a way, both. So I definitely never wanted to stop repairing after I started. And when I first started at UMKC, I was a music ed major, and I was kind of thinking, as ridiculous as it sounds, like, oh, maybe I could be like a band director and work on like the entire inventory of instruments. And it's
Sure.
like, no, those full-time jobs right there.
Yep.
And the longer I did the music ed thing, I only did that for about a year before I realized that teaching in front of a lot of people wasn't really my thing. I did better teaching like private lessons and small groups and stuff. But so it was tough because I had a passion for education, but also I had a passion for repair and for playing and just having my musicianship inform my repair work. And yeah, so eventually one of those things had to win out, and it was the repair. And it was clear that there's such a great need for teachers. So it's hard for me to say this, but I felt like I was more needed in repair. And that's kind of what I tend to do, is go where I'm needed. And I like to feel like I'm filling a need for people.
Very good. That's an awesome, that's awesome, man. So you knew what you wanted to do, and you had already of kind of a strong client base even in your undergrad before you went out into the world. That's pretty.
That's a good, nice head start there. Yeah.
So, Will, that's an excellent foundation for what we're going to talk about now. Let's talk a little bit about your clinic here at the Sax SmackDown. Tell us a little bit about your clinic and some of the concepts and what you're going to be talking about while you're here.
Yeah, so I'm going to be focusing on things that I think people are unlikely to learn elsewhere. So there are some, because I feel bad saying the word self-taught, because there are so many places that you draw information from. Like I said, I got a pretty good foundation by working with Judy, but I also like to engage with a lot of technicians, and I listen to my clients and things like that. So there are really, truthfully, a lot of places that I pull knowledge from, but isn't that kind of what being self-taught is also? So, whatever. But if you, so we can taught for lack of a more descriptive term. But there are some unique things that I think that I do in my shop that I think work super well. And I want to share a lot of those things in a lot of detail. And along the way, I'll sprinkle in, I think, some more general rules of thumb or tips and tricks that maybe aren't going against the grain too much, but still I think are helpful to sprinkle in there. So basically, I'm just trying to show as many unique and helpful things as I can in my clinic. So I'll be bouncing around quite a bit.
Okay, so
does that really answer?
I think it does. Yeah. I also want, if you could be so kind as maybe you have a couple of examples that of our little tidbits maybe
Yeah.
that you
Sure.
employ in your shop that you'll have for us at the clinic.
Yeah. So kind of a general one is there are places that a lot of technicians like to use tubes where I don't like to use tubes, and places that maybe don't occur to people to use tubes where I do like to use tubes. You know what I mean? That maybe seems kind of silly and small, but I like to talk about tubes.
When you say tubes, you don't mean like guitar amp tubes, you mean like tubing, like somewhere on the saxophone?
Yeah. So I like to think I kind of break with convention a little bit when it comes to how I use adjustment materials. There are some, I guess, common beliefs about what materials work best where that I think are not entirely. I think I'm going to talk a lot about materials.
Okay.
And maybe surprise some people with what I like where and why.
Excellent.
Very cool.
But maybe it's not all that surprising. Maybe I'm just full of it. Who knows? But we'll find out. And another thing that I think is going to be one of the more interesting things that I share is so over the past 2 or 3 years, I've been experimenting, actually longer, come to think of it. But I've been really interested in synthetic pads on saxophones for a while, and there's still a lot of work and research to be done. But there are some places where there are things that are currently on the market that I think work so well that, like in the palm keys on an alto sax, for example, or soprano sax, I've got synthetics that work so well there that I kind of never want to use a leather pad again there. So if you want to learn more about that, come to SmackDown, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Very
I'll talk
cool.
in a lot of detail about how I do that.
Okay, and then Will also tell us about maybe tell us a little bit too about some of the products that you're going to be bringing. I know that you have a couple that you were just at the Navy Symposium in Fairfax, Virginia this past couple of weekends. Tell us a little bit about some of the products that you're starting to develop in your shop and that you're starting to sell throughout the world.
Yeah, so the 2 original products that we make in our shop are the saxophone bell rings. Those have been popular for a long time, and I started out making those in my childhood bedroom workshop at my parents' house. When I was an undergrad, I was making those out of vinyl tubes. And later I started 3D printing them as well out of a flexible TPU material that I think are even a little bit better. But those are kind of a new take on a saxophone mute, but I call them bell rings because I think mute is sort of a misnomer. It's not like a brass instrument mute, changes the sound of the entire instrument. Really all it does is it changes the sound and response and tone, pitch rather, of the low B flat and sort of the low B. And then it has sort of subtle effects on like kind of the rest of the range of the instrument. But so those are really a super popular product that also aren't super expensive, which is nice.
Yeah.
And other product that is unique to my shop are my incline adjustable left-hand thumb rests. They are basically a left-hand thumb rest that is adjustable in the angle that it comes to your thumb, the overall height, as well as the rotation. So that's an ergonomic product that I've really come to believe in, and it's especially helpful on soprano saxophone, although it will fit soprano, alto, tenor, bari.
Very cool. So will you have, is the adjustable thumb rest, is this something that we can, are you going to bring an instrument with it on there, or is it something that's modular, like that we can put on one that we're going to have here, would you say?
I'm going to bring my saxophone, which has an inclined thumb rest on it.
Cool.
But I'll have we could put some on some Wilmingtons if they happen to fit. I think they probably will. There are different sizes that I've designed to fit different makes and models. So there's a size that fits Selmers and Yamahas. There's a size that fits most Taiwanese imports as well as Yanagasawas. And there's a size that fits most Kyleworths and the Buffet Senso.
Very cool.
And I might come out with more sizes. We'll find out.
Okay. Yeah. So that's very exciting, Will. I'm looking forward to trying that. Let me see. What else do I have to ask you about? Brian, do you have any questions for Mr. Will Peak while we're here, other than about waffles?
Yeah. What's your favorite flavor of waffle? But I guess I can't ask that. We'll have to figure out, February 23rd and 24th, the Sax SmackDown.
Will, what about, will there be prizes, or do they need to bring any special equipment for your clinic? Safety glasses, tooling of any kind?
Knowledge is the real price here, Rich. So everybody's getting away with some knowledge.
You just got to bring a brain and an open mind.
I'm out. Sorry, I tried. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me as well. Well, Will Peak, thank you so much for being here. This has been a delight to learn about your history and philosophy and the things that you're going to be bringing to the Sax SmackDown on February 23rd and 24th coming up next month. We will be back next week with another clinician who will give us some more tips and tricks from their clinic. That's going to do it for now. Make sure you take the Sax SmackDown hashtag, put that in the comments below. That's going to give you a chance to win discount off the entry. And I got to go back and say who actually won. I never.
We had some winners. They had to stay tuned the entire time.
I sure hope they're still tuned in. Let me go over the winners. This one of them is International Fodesi Pieter, and then from YouTube, Rob Vanderbrook, Greg Chapman, 1436, and username. And this is just, I don't know, JPH Tube. Oh,
JPH Tube.
JPH Tube, very fitting. Will likes tubes, and we've got a username with tube in it. That's good.
Cool.
All right, Will, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for watching. We're going to sign off for now. So until next time, happy repairing.